These days, when you look at Samus, you think of her as gaming's first playable human female, or how she's a badass that kicks ass and blow up planets for breakfast. But before she was all of that, did you know that Samus was a temptress back in the late 80s for the prepubescent young boys with her pink leotard, when all they wanted to do was to play as a space dude busting up aliens' ass? Samus was the Lara Croft of the 8-bit pixel era, and dare I say, the 8-bit pixel dead or alive Xtreme volleyball. Okay, maybe not that far, I'll take those words back, so please don't crucify me. Back in 1986, when the very first Metroid released, the idea of playing as a female was an unfathomable idea. The only other playable female before Samus at the time was Miss Pac-Man, and all she is Pac-Man with a ribbon, so that's hardly anything groundbreaking in my opinion. Gaming at the time was mostly targeted towards young males, so the idea of playing as a weak girly woman was unthinkable. What we wanted to play at the time are burly hairy men like Mario, or weirdly ambiguous objects like Space Invaders' spaceship. That's what makes us feel cool. A girl as the main character? Get out of here before we lynch you for such heresy. So what did the great minds at Nintendo HQ decide to do? Well, I'd say you guessed it, but we wouldn't be here talking about it today if it didn't turn out well. But yes, the mad lads did it. They made a game with a female as the main character, but to be honest, it's not like they had plans to make Samus as a woman in the beginning. In a 2016 interview with Yoshio Sakamoto and Hiroji Kiyotake, apparently the devs were working on the game until one day, one of them had too much big brain juice running through their veins and suggested to make Samus into a woman for shock value, and the rest of the team just went along with it. The interview went as followed. Question: how did you decide to make Samus Aran as a woman? Sakamoto: once we entered the final stage of development, we started talking about having different endings depending on how long it took players to clear the game. We wanted to prepare a reward for people who cleared it more quickly. Kiyotake: we wondered what would surprise everyone and talked about removing Samus's helmet. Sakamoto: then someone said it would be a shocker if Samus turned out to be a woman, and everyone thought that would be interesting and wanted to do it, so we decided it right away. Kiyotake: yeah, we decided that in a flash. Back then people played games over and over, so we wanted to give a reward for playing through quickly. Then we decided to put in 4 endings, with Samus removing her helmet or her suit and so forth. As they played, everyone thought Samus was a tough muscle-bound guy, but they learned in the end that Samus was a woman. Sakamoto: people who played it back then were shocked, and even now people talk about it like a kind of legend. Kinda weird that such a big revolutionary step in gaming was just a dev throwing shit to the wall and see what sticks. So after having that shit stick, the team decided to make Samus into a woman, but as shock value for when you complete the game, so everyone that was playing the game thought that they were playing some kind of robot or a guy under the power suit this whole time. But the shock value wouldn't have worked if Nintendo didn't try to proactively try to deceive their audience, because you see, the American and Japanese game manual both use male pronouns to refer to Samus, just so they can bamboozle the good speedrunners later on. Normally I'd feel betrayed, but this time, kudos to you. Now Samus being the first female is cool and all for speedrunners, but then once you put a little more thought into it, you kinda realize Samus was an 8-bit sex appeal at the time. Some people will probably argue saying that's not true and blah blah blah, but you tell me, why do we get to see Samus' pixelated bikini upon completing the game as fast as possible? You see, depending on how fast you complete the game, you get to see Samus' gender reveal party. Completing the game between 5 to 10 hours doesn't reveal much. Between 3 to 5 hours, you get to see Samus' face, but she could have been a dude with bushy hair. So it makes sense to make another tier, which is 1 to 3 hours completion. Here we see Samus sporting a pink leotard, which the internet have now dubbed the Justin Bailey suit. It's pretty obvious at this point that Samus is female. But then we have another tier of reward above that, which is under 1 hour completion. Samus here is wearing a bikini with a glorious pixelated booba in display. The fact that you can only get this ending as the highest tier reward makes it all even more sus. There is absolutely no reason to make that final tier reward other than for fan service. Imagine if Samus is an actual guy. Do you think the devs will make the final tier reward being a macho man in a G-string? I doubt it. While I won't mind seeing that for the pure shock value, it definitely will not happen back in the 80s. Now having said all that, does that lessen Samus' character and impact? Hell nah. In the end of the day, Samus is still a strong badass. She revealed some skin, but so did Mario who exposed his nips, or Link rocking some sexy Garuda outfit. Why is Samus not allowed to wear something sexy? Being strong isn't just about being as interesting as a block of concrete, it's also about being comfortable in your own skin. The only complaint I have is Samus becoming slimmer and shorter throughout the years. I for one hope they retained her being a 6 feet muscular Amazon. That is, sexy.